So Kirba, you can share your screen if you have connected.
The audio is not connected yet.
Kirba, you can share your screen.
Yeah, okay.
So you can use your editor now. So there's no need of command prompt. You can go with editor. Yeah. You can just create one with singleton.
New class, right?
Yeah, new class. Okay, so now what we'll do is within this class, first thing we're going to make is your constructor as private. You create a keyword private and then your respective class. And within that, you have your sysout to just understand whether your constructor is getting invoked or not. Okay. And that post that we'll have one static method. We'll say private, public, static, and you're going to return object of your singleton class, right? So just maintain singleton as a return type because you're returning an object of singleton. And you can just give get object, some method name. And within that, you say return new singleton. Okay. And now have a main method like outside.
The same class.
Yeah, this is fine. Yeah, outside this class, can we have one class created as your driver class? Separate class. Not here, maybe outside.
A new file.
Yeah, new file. Yeah. Okay, so now try to create an object for your singleton, usual way you do within your main method. The usual way we create singleton object reference equal to new singleton. So what is the error you're getting there? Can you over? The constructor is not visible. Change the visibility to package, right? So the first issue is your constructor is private. So your object creation is being restricted. You can't create your object as you do earlier way. So how should I do now? So you had a method called a static method within that, which is get object, right? So there are two things, eager initialization and lazy initialization. Eager is like, without asking itself, I'll keep it ready and keep it handy for you. Unless you request, I'll do is a lazy request. So here what happened, I'm actually requesting now to create an object. So instead of new singleton, access your class static method, singleton dot get object. No, in the same itself you can actually do.
I'll just comment that out.
Okay, singleton dot get object, and that returns you a singleton object, right? So have it in one instance.
So it should be of type singleton, right?
Yes. Because you're returning and return type is singleton. So now you're able to access that object. Now within that object, let's have one attribute or any method within that to just see what you're printing. Then no, you can okay, you're making it as private.
It's default, right? We can access.
Okay. Now in that sysout or somewhere, you just print that value object dot. So what is the difference you observe right now? The earlier way we were having the object creation easily just with new keyword, but right now I'm restricting it through a way that I can be created only if you access my static method and post that only you will be able to use it, right? So whoever has the privilege to access, only they will know that request, like for creating an object, I need to go and call the static method and post that only my object gets created, right? So if you go right now to your singleton class, Kripa, so I haven't given any restrictions. I'm just having a static method, and within that I have given list new singleton. So this is like whoever accesses this method, they'll get their object. Now we'll do a small tweak, like whoever creates it, I wanted to have my object created only once. How many times you access my object will be created only once. We'll see that also. Now in your singleton driver, can we invoke one more object, Kripa? Like create one more object reference and do the same line with different reference name. Yeah, just have obj1. Okay, so for the hash code value, right? Can you print for both the things hash code apart from after I, just for references to understand how many times the object is getting created? No, you're using via your attribute, you will not be able to print. That is accessible only for your object. So maybe after that you can separate it to your plus symbol and have it your object.hash code. Yeah, same way you can have it in the above class. I think you have to use double quotes because you're not separating it with. Yeah, use plus icon. You can copy the same thing.
I can type it out.
Okay, good. Okay, now can we execute this? So what happened here? Like when we're accessing both the times, your object is getting created, but it's in a different place. So you're actually accessing multiple times. In that case, singleton is not the actual scenario, right? You're able to access it anytime you want, and you're getting your object created multiple times. Only thing is, instead of calling it a new keyword directly, you're using your static method and calling it. So that is the only difference you find out here, right? But I want to restrict that. How many times you call, I need to have only one object getting created. I don't want multiple objects getting created every time. So to restrict that access, we have learned something called final keyword earlier, right? So can someone remember what is final keyword we learned earlier?
The final, it's for constants, right?
Yeah, so it's basically, it makes your class complete. Wherever you use, you can use it the final to your class, to your variable, to your method, anywhere you can use it. So if you use that static, if you use the final as your what's the keyword to any of these levels, that will make your complete value as constants. So that is what we're going to do now. So in your singleton class, before class keyword, can we add final as your keyword? Okay. Now what you have to do is, before your private constructor, create one reference, singleton and reference name alone. Return type is singleton and just a reference name.
Okay.
Okay. And just initialize it with null because you're creating an object. So equal to null. Now, within your static block, we are going to do one additional check. If my obj, you're going to get an attribute, which is obj, which is defined outside. But that is actually an instance object. So I want to make it static, only then I can access it in all the levels, right? So I'm going to create one keyword static in front of my object obj. So in line number 7, add a keyword static.
Before
yeah,
name?
Yes, and also make that attribute private also, so that no one can access it when you're invoking outside, so that the visibility would be only within that class. Cool. Now in within the method get object, can we have one if condition? If my object is equal to null, only then I'll create an object, otherwise I won't. If object equal to null, within that create your object and assign it to your object which is defined outside obj. Instead of giving return, give it as obj equal to, copy that new singleton and paste it. Yeah, cool.
Okay.
semicolon.
Do we need to have any?
Yeah, we need to have a
response?
written. So give written obj. Okay, so what did we do now? Like, how did we tweak this? Like earlier, it was accessible for multiple times. So I'm making it only one time. So right now my class is final. Second thing is to access your object anywhere within your class, I'm making it static. And I'm adding private because since the class is final and whenever I create an object outside this, right? So then in that case, the singleton obj will be accessible. I don't want that to happen because every time it will be obj as null because there's no purpose to have that visibility available to anyone outside this class. So made it as private. And now whenever I'm creating an object, I'm making it like only if it is null, I'm going to invoke it. Cool. Now in your singleton driver class, can we create the same way and print execute? I think your singleton is not saved. Can you save that file? Yeah. Can we invoke now? Just execute.
So I will have a look at the output before.
Yeah.
So we're getting two different objects before.
Basically, your hash code values are different right now. That is the understanding first, right? So what happened here?
Okay, so
how many times you call, my object is only one time created. Like earlier, we were getting different values, right? So every time it was giving a different hash code value. But this time, if you see, it was giving only one object value. In that case, how many times you invoke, my object will be created only once. Because that is static. And then I'm creating it only once on your request, not multiple times. And so that is like on your request, I'm creating it so that anytime you call, the object will be one. So when do we use this? So basically, if you have seen this log4j or database related things, right? In your, maybe if you have observed in your code, or else we'll be seeing this little later. So why do we need the singleton pattern is, I can show you that sample once Kirba stops sharing the screen in my real-time example. So where we do is like, whenever we have this logger implementation. So logger is like your sysout, similar to your sysout. I can share that screen, just a moment. So if you see here, there's something called logger writer factory get logger writer, right? You're able to see this? You're able to see this line?
Yeah.
Yes.
So if I go into this, right? So in this, what is happening? This is a static method, and this is that get logger writer. And here they are getting some value. And within that, they are creating the new object and the respective class which they were passing it. And if you see, this is getting called only once, this logger. And throughout my object, wherever I use this logger, there is only one time object created. So what is the purpose of having like this is, how many times you create your object, this would be static. Only one time your object is created. And wherever you use this, I'll work as you want. So here I'm printing some other data. And if you see somewhere, I'm printing some other data. So basically this logger object will not be created multiple times. It will be static. Like as you have your static value accessible globally, this is a way you can create a logger object globally. And you're making it as static so that, and final as well, so that anytime this value will not be changed, it will be created only once. And so this is the way where your singleton comes into picture. Like if I want to access logger every time in my class, what happens? I need to call logger equal to new logger. And once that object is created, I'll be using that logger multiple times where I want as you use your usual object way. But the main purpose behind having like this is, I don't want to be accessible, like whoever has this class run accessible can come and get your object directly created. I don't want that to be happen. So that is the reason I'm making it restricted. So whoever wants, only in that particular way, I'll be providing them the access. Unless then I'll not be providing it. So it's basically like your privilege. If you want access to a database, or if you want access to any confidential applications, you have to raise a request, right, for your access request, and then you'll get your access. Unless then it is not an open request which is accessible for all your employees in your organization. So there are few applications which we restrict based on request, we provide them access. So this is also one of their way. We are restricting the object creation on request, will create in this way. So this is a real time where we use it. So if you want to see any other examples better way, I can say is like database. So whenever you're creating an connection, right? Whenever you're trying to connect your database and you wanted to make sure in your entire application, you want to connect your database only once. So that it doesn't mean like I'm connecting off and on multiple times to get some data. So I'm going to connect DB only once, and I'm going to access and query it for multiple times, but my connectivity is happening only once. So if say example, I'm logging to my DB with Sneha name, same time other person is also logging with my credentials Sneha, and there are like n number of people using common credentials to connect the database, and every time they connect, what happens in your database, like for Sneha, you can see like 10 connections are getting created. Is it a good way to see like n number of connections created only for one person, or is it a bad way? Can someone suggest?
That's bad.
That's bad, right? So
Yep.
basically common credentials, whoever is getting invoked, and that too through only one application, in that way having that many connections is not a good way, because in your backend that many connections, memory management, and then what else, like session, everything works. And on top of that, when you execute your query, which might be a little longer, it's very simple, on top of that you're putting again one more load of for your query execution. So this can all be minimized if you have your connections only restricted to only once creation and not more than that. And that is the reason we have this particular design pattern called singleton design pattern, which helps you in creating any type of object. So right now we are learning in Java object creation. That is why we used in that way. If you're using JDBC, like JDBC is an API which we use to connect your database. And when we come into that picture, we'll see how the single pattern works in a better approach. So right now, you understood why we need singleton pattern, right? Is there any confusion behind that? If there's no confusion, we can go ahead and try with the factory pattern now. So Kirba, you can share your screen. Okay, so I think singleton pattern should be clear for you. There are multiple ways to improvise this singleton pattern. Right now, I just made sure to understand how we can achieve singleton only through using the keywords which we have learned so far. One is static keyword, the other one is private constructor, another one is using the final keyword. So this is also one approach. But there are multiple ways when you're trying to create object through thread concepts, how we can make that also more restricted and making only one connection, like n number of threads, but saying n number of objects I don't want. I want only one object. So once we learn thread concept, we can actually enhance the singleton pattern in a better way. So right now, only thing you need to remember is whenever you're trying to create singleton, your constructor has to be private, and your object, whichever you're creating, has to be static, and your entire class has to be final, so that your object will not be changed later point of time. It will be a constant. Okay, so now can you create one more class called factory pattern? So in your wrapper classes, internally, this factory pattern is being used. So that is what yesterday, if you have observed, we used parse int method, we used value of method, right? So let's see how actually that is in real time. And then we'll write our own factory pattern right now. So within main method, Kirba, just try to invoke integer.parseInt and integer.value of. Just have your main method.
What should I do here?
Just type integer, control space. Okay. If you give control space, that gets imported. Yeah. Just give enter for the first one or select it. Yeah. And then create a reference after that.
I think it has not got imported. I need to select this one. First
Yeah,
one, right?
first one. Yeah. Then space, give your reference. Since it's a lang package, it will not be, you can't see that import in your class.
Okay.
This is the default
Hmm.
package. So have your reference created equal to, now just type again integer, the same class name integer, and give dot. Yeah, so right now you can see get integer method, and you see value of method, which is an overloaded method. So if you see int y, and the second one is taking string s, so overloaded method, right? And there's also one more overloaded method with having string and int radix. So now little scroll down. If you see, there should be one more method called parseInt. You can scroll a little more down. Yeah, wait. So in the parseInt, this is again an overloaded method. You can see string s, and you can see string s and int radix. Okay. There's also one more thing with character sequence, begin and end index, with number of parameters getting changed. So we have two methods. So we'll be observing these two right now, and we'll see how in behind the factory pattern is actually working. You can just type parseInt, Kiriba, and you can just give any string. Within string, just give some int value. Just control space. So if you're using editor, and if you're not pretty sure about your method names, always give in class name dot or object name dot and give control space. You'll have all your methods listed out through the editor, and within that you can use however you want when you start developing in a better way. Okay. Now in the same way, have one more object created. Say let's create float this thing. Instead of integer, let's have float. Yeah. Equal to float dot, and go with parse float, and then give some value with it can accept both decimal and without decimal, so you can give anything. Okay, so now can you go into that parse float method? You just give control and click on the mouse pointer.
No, it's not taking. Okay, command.
Yeah. So if you see, can you go to the top of this class? So can you see the class is final? Can you scroll a little down? And you can see the class is final, right? And that is extending your default parent class called number. Can you go into that number class? Just give control and then click onto it. Yeah. Now give control and O so that you can see the number of methods you have in this class. So just give control and O. Yeah. So if you see here, you have int value, long value, float value, double value, everything, right? Can you go to any one of that method, int value, or any one? Right? So if you see some keyword called abstract. We'll see about it in the next week. But the abstract is nothing but it tells you what it does and it's not how it does. So it's similar to your interface. So it basically has its definition, but how it does is something it will tell only in the class which is getting implemented. So this has been in the same float class. Can you go to your float class now, Kiriba? And just give control O there. And here, can you just type int here, or yeah, just type, yeah, click on that. Yeah, if you see here, you have the logic for that int value here. So if you see, they are just taking some value and they're typecasting it to the integer and returning as int. Now, can you just give control and go to that value and see what type of value is that? Is it float or is it int? Why are we typecasting? Can you see that?
So this one is not accepting any parameters, right?
Not accepting. So in that case, that should be static, right? So click on that value and see where that is created. Open declaration. Yeah. So if you see, that is again final float. Float is your data type and value, which is being created in the initial class on the initial level. And that value is accessible throughout your class as you have privilege for your static keyword. So that is what they are doing it here. And where exactly the values object is getting initialized, that happens in your constructor. If you see in the line number 537, you have your float constructor and where you're actually passing the value and you're assigning this dot value equal to value. So the first point you have to take here is for your final variables, you have to initialize your value in the place where you declare. If you're not doing that, you can do it only in your constructor. These are the only two ways you can initialize your final variable values. So let's experiment that as part of our hands-on. The second thing, that is the reason you are able to typecast and write the logic for int value method, which was abstract in my number class, but I'm using that as I'm writing my own business logic in the respective method when I'm overriding the method. So that is the reason you're able to see a logic here. Now, can we open integer class, Kirba? Like you already have that factory in the factory pattern you created, right? Can you go to that integer class? Yeah. Now give control and go to that int value method. So here what happened, they're actually returning the same value method because it is now can you go to the declaration of that value? So that is int, and line number 1105, you can see that value is getting initialized inside a constructor. So the main three things you can see here is final keywords. If you are using the final keyword through any of your variable, it has to be initialized in the line number 1089. If you miss it, then you have to initialize it only in your constructor. The third thing is whenever your topmost superior class, your super class is having some methods with keyword abstract, or if it is an interface which is having only a definition and not only a declaration and not the definition, you can write your business logic in your child classes by overriding them. So these are the three things we need to know. Now, if you understand the three classes, float, integer, and number, you can see throughout the three classes, we had the same method int value, and throughout the classes, we are using the same value, right? But only thing is the logic is getting changed and the invocation through that classes is getting changed. How is it happening? That is what your factory pattern does. So it actually will not look like where this particular object is getting called from. It will just look the type of value you're passing, and post that it will check whether this type is suitable for my class. If not, I'll throw that to my respective class which can handle that particular value. So in the factory pattern, if you're having, say, example, a book, which can be a paper book, which can be a digital book, or it can be hard copy book. So what type of book is actually, I don't know. So based on the object you pass, I'll design it and then create the object for that particular type of book on runtime. So this is what the factory pattern does. Instead of creating like paper book PB equal to new paper book, digital book DB equal to new digital book, and hard copy book HB equal to new hard copy book. Instead of wasting my time of creating each object explicitly, I can create my object runtime if I have created my own factory class for that object part. So now let's create our own customized way to create a factory pattern. So now can you go to the factory pattern class? So let's have one factory, like in your factory pattern. Let's have one called book factory. We'll create one class. Let this class be remains here. We'll create the other classes which we need of now. So have one class called book factory. And in that, we'll say, we'll create one method, build book, one method with build book, which returns me the object type of book. Okay, we'll create a book class separately right now. Return type, just type it as of now as return type book. Yeah, okay. Now we'll accept that particular type. Okay, so we'll have something as book type. Within the argument, have book type. We are yet to create them. So just have book type. And have like you have the class name as book type. Instead of book, have it as book type. Yeah, and just have it as type or some reference name, you can have it. Now within that, no, that should be book. So there are two things. One is book, another one is book type. Okay, so we'll see what is that. And now within that, let's create our object book B or book anyway, whatever reference you want, and make it initialize with null. Your object is not yet created. Now let's have one switch case within this. And pass your object, like your book type, which you get as your argument, right? Type. Yeah. Within that, within the case, first case, let's have the case as first one paper book, right? So which we'll have PB, okay? PB in caps we'll have PB colon the reference which you created for book, right? Within that you just give B equal to new have a class name as paper book. Okay, right now we'll have only two types, and if you want you can try by enhancing it a little later. Now in the other case, yeah, you can break this one, and in the other case we'll have digital book. DB, and we'll have B equal to new digital book, and within that you can break it and have a default, and in that you don't need to give anything, just give a break alone. Have default colon, give break, and this particular build book should return a value. So after your switch case, have a return keyword and return B. Return B. So now the classes which you need to create is first book class. So now can we create a class name with book first?
Do we need to specify any public or private access modifier?
No need to do anything. Like once we create the relevant classes, we'll again refactor this one.
Okay.
So now we'll have one class called book. Guys, if meeting is getting extended, please wait for another 10 minutes. In another invite I'll send you, and we can wrap it up this concept. So otherwise it will be like you'll not get the continuation tomorrow. So here, okay, you're creating classes. Yeah, I can go ahead. Go ahead. Yeah. So now go to your book. And in that class, we'll have the class name with the prefix abstract. Okay. So in the line number 3, before class, we'll have the keyword abstract. Like whatever you saw in your number concept, you're doing the same thing. Now within this book, we'll have our default constructor book. And that will assign one parameter, which is your book type. Like which you took earlier, right? The same thing you can give as a parameter here, book type. You didn't create, right? So let's create one book type. Can we create an enum? So there's a concept called enum, which is like if you have static values for your types, right? Like paper book, digital book, or if you go for days, it's Monday to Friday. So in that case, if you have some static values, we maintain through some concept called enum, which is given by Java. So which will hold all your data types. So in that enum, what we'll have is within that, just have paper book PB, comma, DB. No, you created switch.
Okay, only PB
and DB, right? So just have that right now. Yeah, and then that's it. Save. You don't need to have semicolon also. You can just end it. It's separated, but yeah, save. So these are your book types. Now go to your book class and have your book type as your argument. And just have a reference name for it. I think you need to import it. Meanwhile, I'll send you the invite. What happened?
Getting some error.
You save that class first.
Enum, right?
Yeah.
Book type enum.
Yeah.
I have saved it.
Yeah, it's saved. Yeah. You just in the line number 6 after book type, can you just give space? Yeah, and then give a reference now. Okay. Since in the same package, you don't need to import it. That is the reason. You are not having it with separate class, right? Now here, just have like this dot. book type BT. Like create one more variable as BT outside, like private book type BT outside your constructor.
Private book type BT, right?
Yeah, you can have some reference, right? Anyway, using this keyword, so it shouldn't give you a problem.
Okay.
Okay, now give this dot BT equal to BT. Just a moment, Kirba, I'll just send the invite quickly.
Okay.
I sent you the invite, so join to that. Yeah, let's continue here. So now you created the book type. So we need to get the model, right? Whatever model or type of book type is particular user is giving us, right? So what we're going to do is like, we're going to have one kind of method to retrieve that book type and then set that type. So getter and setter basically you have private. So whenever you want to create your getters and setters in editor, no, don't type Kirpa. So in editor, there is a way for you to create it. So right click on this code, like in the editor, right click, and you can go there, source. If you come down, there's something called source, right? Little above. Yeah, there in the right side, you have something below generate getters and setters. Click on that. And it's asking for which, if you have multiple variables, you can select everything, or if you want to only specific, you can select that and then go ahead and create generate. And if you want what type of return type, you can check it in the below one. So right now we need only public. So you can just go ahead and create getter. Cool. Now we'll, yeah, this is good for right now. We are good with this class. So save it. Now go to your book factory. Which class are we still pending? Paper book and digital book. Okay, so you have the paper book created, right? Go ahead there. And there, since that is abstract class, we're going to extend it. So after your paper book, use the keyword extends and extend with your book class. Okay, so now if you see, whatever properties you define within your book are actually not yet defined here. So there is no properties we defined there, right? No methods or no attributes. We just had one attribute, book type alone. So you need to have one method to understand what is happening. So let's create a method within that. In the book class.
I'm getting error, like this one is not having default constructor.
Yeah, we are not having a default constructor, right? Not yet created in our paper book. So that is the reason you're getting it. So in that, just have a constructor. Just have a default constructor. That should be fine. Public paper book.
Continue this out.
You don't need to give sysout. Instead, you need to use super keyword for your extend super class. Super. And in that, you are having a kind of parameterized, right? Which was accepting a type, book type. So here you can pass the value book type, the class book type dot. And you'll get those attributes PB and DB. So right now it's a paper book, just pass PB. Okay. So now we got that super usage and we created that method. Now what we're going to do is within our book class, which is abstract class, we are going to create one method. Okay. Let it be, we haven't used protected yet. So we'll try that now. So have one method with protected. Also use the keyword abstract, void, print book. Okay. No, you don't need to give the definition, have just declared it. Like how you do in your interfaces, right? Just semicolon it. That's it.